Welcome to another edition of the NBA Outlet Preview Series, presented by OTGBasketball.com. I'm your host, Nick Fay. With me, as always, Harris Wichard, and special guest today, James Clifton, Laker writer for OTGBasketball.com. What's up, guys?
Hey, Nick. Hey, Harris.
How's it going, guys? Ready to dive into our 28th ranked team for our series preview in the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, so like we said before, these rankings are combined from all of our writers. Over 20 people put their input in. Lakers are number 28. So do you guys agree with what our writers picked?
I'll let James start with this one because he's a Laker fan, so or a Laker guy. I'll let him start with this one.
Trying to stay unbiased, I would say 28th is a good spot. Might put them ahead of the Phoenix Suns. I'm just not sold. The Suns were a disaster last year at the second half of the season. I think the Lakers will be improved this year. So they could jump the Suns and potentially even maybe the Kings. I know Rudy Gay has made it pretty clear he doesn't want to play for them anymore, and that could disrupt the things with the Kings. But
Yeah,
28 sounds good, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because the team won 17 games last year, and we try to base these rankings off what we could see in the future and the potential of the team in the future. But this was the Kobe Bryant show for the last 41 games of the year. This wasn't even really a season. It stunted some of the young guys' growth, I think, including D'Angelo Russell. So yeah, 28 is probably right. I mean, they'll be a little bit better this year. They'll win more games. They did draft Ingram, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But I think this is fair. If you want to have them better than Phoenix, that's fine at 27. But after coming off a 17-win season, I don't care who you add. It's going to be tough to put them any higher than that.
Yeah, no, I agree with our writers. I think this is a fair ranking. Maybe they could get a touch higher. I think to start the season they won't be very good, but that young talent, as they get more playing time, will develop a little bit, pick up what Luke Walton brings in. So, the future is bright for them, definitely for sure this season. I think there's going to be a lot of development, and it might not show up in the win column.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Absolutely. And also, I know we'll get into our additions, Nick, and you want to introduce that part, some of the additions they brought in over the offseason.
Yeah, definitely a big summer for the Lakers. Maybe not free agency, but they did hire a new coach, Luke Walton. So What do you guys think about that? What's he going to change about this team? What's he going to bring from Golden State to the Lakers?
I think Luke Walton is probably the most important offseason move, more important than the free agents. I think that Walton brings basically he's going to give Russell more confidence. He knows that he coached Curry the last years, and he plays a similar style, with Russell shooting the three. But I think the main thing is Byron Scott held Russell back, not starting him and, benching him for things that rookies, a lot of rookies do, and he would bench him for that. It seemed like Scott had some sort of chip on his shoulder about Russell, and I think it really hurt Russell's confidence.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Luke Walton, to start the year, we know how talented Golden State was, but to start the year like they did last year at 24-0, and then he had some sort of record like 37-4, and then all those wins went over to Kerr. But no, Walton's a bright young coach, and a lot of the guys relate to him. He's younger. He's played for this organization. He's won rings with this organization. So him coming back to Los Angeles is exactly what the doctor ordered for this young roster. And I don't know, and you touched on the Russell thing, but it doesn't start and end with him. He's even going to help guys, I think, like Young and Williams, even some of the veteran guards they have. And he's just has proved himself already to be, with those sample games with the Warriors, and I know how good that team was, to be a solid NBA coach and only learning. And we know what his dad's done and Bill and his NBA pedigree. So it's going to be interesting to watch early, but I think over the long haul, this is an excellent decision by the Lakers front office.
Yeah, and I think this was, like James said, this might be their best move, maybe other than drafting Brandon Ingram, because you bring in Walton. He's got great experience, like you said, as a player. He's played with great players as well. He's been around great coaches, Kerr, Phil Jackson. So I think that it's going to be a nice move for the Lakers. It's going to open up this offense. I definitely could see him bring some of the things that they used in Golden State over to the Lakers, and it's going to be a lot more entertaining team. And maybe like I said, this year might not be great, but going forward, they're set up for the future pretty well.
Yep, absolutely.
But talking about their draft pick, Lakers they drafted number 2 overall, Brandon Ingram. What'd you guys think about this?
I really like the draft pick. I actually had him above Ben Simmons. I actually watched a lot of Ben Simmons game being from Tennessee. Simmons kind of disappeared a lot of times, and Ingram seemed like he was a little more polished. I think, he averaged 12 points per game, 4 rebounds a game in the summer league, but I think where a lot of people underrate him is his defense. And the Lakers have needed someone with length, to guard the likes of like Durant or Kawhi Leonard. Not saying he can now; he does need to put on some weight before that happens, but he does pride himself on the defensive end.
I mean, Ingram is the no-brainer pick at 2, and like you said, maybe some guys had him at 1. Watching Duke's games, he, to me, translates the best into the NBA game. He's 6'9", like you said, lengthy, obviously needs to get a little stronger, but and also to add on to that point, they have a 6'9" guy from Duke on their roster already, and Dang will probably be able to help him out a little bit. The most veteran guy they have there, he's played 12 years in the league, so Ingram's going to benefit from that. And he's just, like you said, he's polished. His offensive game is solid. I mean, he has moves. He can finish around the rim. He's athletic, and he can defend. I think he ends up – I don't know if he's the Rookie of the Year because I think that could go to several guys. I like Dunn from Providence also, but I think he makes an impact right away, and I could see him playing 20, 25 minutes a game after the first 2 weeks of the season and making a big-time impact on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys on this. Like you said, offensively, he's already a good scorer, and he has defensive potential with that size, length, and athleticism. So it'll be interesting to see, how he progresses this season. Do you guys think he's going to come out and start this year, or they're going to bring him off the bench?
I would say he's probably going to come off the bench, like Harris said. We got Dane to start in front of him, mentor him and bring him on a little slower. That way he can catch up with the speed of the game because he did do well in summer league, but summer league's not the NBA, obviously.
If you had to put a percent on it, what do you think the chances are Ingram comes away with Rookie of the Year?
Like you said, Dunn and Simmons have a chance. I'd say probably 30%, 1 in 3 maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to go lower. I would say 1 in 5, 20% chance he wins Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I think I'll go with 22%.
Go.
I think, like Harris said, I think it's probably unlikely, but it definitely is a possibility if some things bounce a certain way.
Yeah, he's a special player, man. He's got a lot of potential and a great athlete, and someone that Laker fans will be able to get behind early in his career. He's going to play really hard.
And the Lakers also had another pick, Ivica Zubac. How do you pronounce his name, James?
Ivica maybe.
Ivica.
Yeah, I think he was an underrated pick. He averaged 10 and 7 in the summer league, also almost 3 blocks per game.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and he hit, I think it was somewhere around 64% of his shots, and he actually blocked 6 shots versus the Jazz. So he has good mobility for a big man. With the signing of Tariq Black today, I don't know if that means that they don't have as much faith in him, but I was expecting him to step in more into the Tariq Black role from last year.
Yeah, they have an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, and 20-year-old on their roster now, and Ivica Zubac, or however you guys pronounce it, he's 7'1", 240. I mean, if anything, if any consolation to his skill set, that's a lot of size. And when they spent they threw the kitchen sink at Timothy Mozgov, which was one of the head scratchers to me over the offseason. You're going to need some reinforcement. So you signed Tariq Black, and now you have him. So they're going to need some interior defense, and hopefully he can provide that for them.
Yeah, mentioning Mozgov, let's talk about the free agent signings by the Lakers. The Mozgov signing kind of caught everybody off guard. It was right after the free agency period started, and we don't know if there was a huge market for him, and the Lakers threw the money at him. James, how did this move make you feel?
Yeah, the Mozgov move, I wasn't too high on that. It seemed like they kind of reached for him. I think they struck out with a few of the big names, and then kind of panicked. He seemed like he lost his spot last year on the Cavs. I don't agree with it, but 2 years ago he was okay in the playoffs for the Cavs. If he can return to that form, then he would help them out, especially with the young guys. You know, young guys struggle with the physicality of the NBA, and that's the one thing that Mozgov can do is he's a very physical player.
I also I'm hesitant on guys that play with, the best players in the world, and I think LeBron opened up a lot for him a couple of years ago and gave him a lot of opportunity. Coming to a team that won 17 games and is not established is going to be a change for Mozgov. Maybe it brings out the best in him, but as Knicks fans know, he wasn't very impressive in New York. I think he played a little bit in Denver, and he wasn't that good. So, I mean, to give him that much money, they have faith in him, I guess, but to me, he's not the game changer, and he won't play more than 30 minutes a game. He might play 25. So to throw that kind of money, I think that was a desperate move by the Lakers to try to add some interior presence. So hopefully this draft pick maybe pans out. But Mozgov could give you some good minutes here and there, but over the course of an 82-game season, I was scratching my head at this one.
Yeah, I mean, the addition of Mozgov makes sense, just not for the price they acquired him for.
Correct.
Yeah, so, and, maybe Luke Walton saw something in him when he played well against Golden State, not this previous season, but the year before in the finals. He had a big finals, and maybe they see something in him that they can get. And like James mentioned, the physicality he brings, it kind of helped protect the younger players a little bit. But money-wise, it just didn't make sense, especially that soon in free agency. If you have a ton of teams bidding for him and it's going crazy and you really want this guy, whatever, maybe you sign the deal. But to do it that quick didn't make much sense.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised that Luke Walton didn't go after Festus Ezeli.
Yeah, he got a bargain deal too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. Maybe there's something about Festus we don't know. I think maybe the injuries are scaring people a little bit more.
Yeah, that's true.
But they did have a nice signing. Luol Deng was a pretty nice signing. Maybe the length of the contract isn't that great, but bringing that veteran presence to help these guys. He's a solid all-around player. He's getting up there in age, and it doesn't help. He played for Tom Thibodeau. So, what do you guys think of the signing?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good signing. He can, Luol Deng can, mentor the young players, like you said earlier, and also he can stretch it out to the 4. So that's going to take pressure off of Ingram and perhaps Randall.
Yeah, I mean, at 31 years of age, he's a solid veteran piece. I mean, he's with Miami last few years, and he stepped in for LeBron and did a nice job. So, I mean, he was with the Bulls, and he's had some good years in the league, and he's a very solid guy to have defensive on some of the best threes and maybe in some cases 2s in the league. And he plays hard every possession. He doesn't take anything really for granted. He knows the game. But for $18 million, I don't know. At 31 years of age, and you said the length of the contract. Again, the Lakers are trying to push the envelope here and try to capitalize on, not capitalize on a window because these guys are young, but they have to bring in some veterans to surround their very young core and try to create like a big 2 between Russell and Ingram of some sort maybe. But this signing is iffy as well, but better than the Mozgov one.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, definitely better than Mozgov. I wouldn't want him to turn into – I look at the Timberwolves, and it seems like that they draft high every year, but they never try to sign the veteran guys, and it's like they're constantly in the same position every year.
Yeah, or something like the Sixers. That's kind of makes sense why they got Jose Calderon as well. They want to bring in some veterans.
Calderon is horrific, but continue.
But no, I'm going to say they wanted to bring in some veteran presence, get these young guys. You don't want to be like the Sixers and just have a whole bunch of young dudes running around and you're not even winning 20 games a season.
Mm-hmm.
They might not make sense on the court, but maybe off the court they're bringing some nice value.
Right.
And, Calderon is not a good player anymore, but maybe he's a good locker room guy.
Well, the fact that he's making $7.7 million, again, I told you, makes me want to lace up. I mean, when he's on the floor for the 20 minutes a game or however they're going to play him, it's almost like playing 4-on-5 defensively. He's that bad guarding the opposing team's point guard. So I don't know how much he's going to play. I hope for Laker fans it's not that much, so Russell has a good year. But he better be there just for his locker room presence because the 15 to 20 minutes a game that he plays, you're a worse defensive team, maybe a bottom half defensive team, a top five worst defensive team. It's really a struggle, especially watching Knick games this year to watch it. Basically like a revolving door at the point guard position.
Yeah, no, you can't deny that. He is not a good defender. He never really has been that great of a defender, and now he's getting up there in age. He's just an easy drive in every offensive set.
Yep.
But talking about, the Lakers did re-sign two guys, Jordan Clarkson, and this is their other guard for the future. What do you guys think about this? They did get him on a great deal. I know it was some salary cap rule why he was given this type of contract, but still, it's good for the Lakers and their cap going forward.
Yeah, it's definitely good for the Lakers. Clarkson, he come in with low expectations, and now I think he's going to have to live up to higher expectations, and this will be the year that you see what he does with those. He had no pressure on him coming in, and then it was a surprise to everybody, and now people are expecting stuff out of him. One of my good friends writes for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's very, very high on Clarkson. He thinks he's very versatile, can play the one or the two. So I think this will be the year to see if Clarkson can really stand out with more demands on him.
Yeah, Jordan Clarkson's my favorite player on the roster, and Nick knows that I was very high on him because I was a big FanDuel guy when I was playing with Clarkson, and I like his demeanor a lot. Being the 46th pick of the draft a few years back in Missouri, he just seems to be very humble, and to offset all of Russell's antics and dating Kardashians and Jenners and whatnot, Jordan Clarkson's going to be a mainstay on this team, and I like his game a lot. He played 79 games last year, 32 minutes a game, and he, to me, is one of the go-to guys in this team. And, the fact that he gets to line a little bit, he could rebound for his size, he's athletic, 15 a game last year. So I think he takes the next step, and we'll talk about the guys that need to step up, but Jordan Clarkson is my favorite player on this roster.
Yeah, and this is another guy Luke Walton's probably going to help. He's going to open up the offense, more ball movement, more three-point shooting. Clarkson gives you that versatile guard, something that's going to be very popular in the new NBA with this positionless basketball. And the fact that he's able to score and play make, it makes him a great asset for the Lakers. And like you said, Harris, I like the energy he plays with.
He's going to be a good leader. You could see it forming already. He's only 24. By the time he gets 25, 26, 27, him and Russell in the backcourt together with a front court of Randall and other guys and Ingram and stepping up. This has the form. To me, he's the key, and he's going to be the straw that stirs the drink for them. I think he's going to make things go.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I could definitely see him as, like the leader of that group, bringing everybody together. And like you said, these four guys going forward, this team has a bright future.
Yes.
The Lakers also re-signed point guard. How do you pronounce his name, James?
Marco Huertas.
Okay, yeah, they re-signed him. I know some Laker fans weren't very happy with his play last season.
Shaq and a fool.
So how do you feel about them bringing him back?
Honestly, it's probably just a move to fill the roster. If I had to pick, he wouldn't be on the court. I think he's a liability on defense. Maybe him and Calderon, if you add them together, you might get a little bit of defense if they just double team the whole time. But I don't understand the Huertas. He's probably, I would say, probably one of the worst players on the team.
Yeah, he might even be one of the worst point guards in all of the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of those moves, and I know I played D3, but this was one of those moves that makes me want to suit up again. Because listen, I feel like I could cake this guy to the rim again. 6'3", 185, and some of the things that he did last year were so puzzling, and I've never seen on the basketball floor before. That one shot he took backwards should have actually kicked him out of the league. I think he should be out of the league. I hope he doesn't play for all of Laker fans around the country.
All right, let's talk about departures in Lakerland. They got rid of Brandon Bass, Roy Hibbert, Robert Sacre, Ryan Kelly, Metta World Peace, and they actually re-signed Tariq Black as well, as James mentioned earlier in the show. Who would they lose? Anybody that thinks really going to hurt them? Or
Really, when you're looking at departures for the Lakers, they really didn't lose anything. Bass, I would assume, is a good teammate. He's a veteran in the locker room. You got Hibbert, who is the softest giant I've ever seen. He averaged 4 rebounds a game last year, and he's 7'2", 7'3". I've really never been on board with Hibbert. And then with Sacred and Kelly and Meta World Peace. Not a lot of playing time there. Kelly stepped in sometimes, but you really didn't lose anything.
Yeah, I mean, Bass was probably a good big off the bench, but he's not anything special. He probably wanted to give to a competitor, a contender, and but like you said, Roy Hibbert soft. He really had a chance to kind of revive his career in Los Angeles, and he just failed miserably.
Yeah, Brandon Bass was a nice piece. I kind of like him for what energy he brings on both ends. He's not a great offensive player, but he's a good putback guy. Probably underrated screener, and I look at that kind of those kind of things. But good IQ guy. But other than that, Zach, Ray Hibbert, Kelly, Ryan Kelly was actually playing for the other team when he was on the floor for the Lakers. Meta World Peace, that we don't even have to talk about him, and Tariq Black. So yeah, Bass maybe a little bit, but obviously we're going to touch on Kobe because he's one of the all-time great players in the game. And I'll let Faye and you guys kind of start with that, but obviously we need to bring into the Kobe factor now that he's no longer Lakerland, kind of like with the Yankees and Jeter moving forward in an era, but acknowledging what Kobe has accomplished, the 5 rings, the MVP, that being a top 10 player of all time, in my opinion, and the second best shooting guard to ever play.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we're about to get into Kobe Bryant retiring. Excellent career, excellent Laker, championship player, and that last game was awesome. I can't remember being so hyped up for a meaningless regular season game.
Yep.
So, just tip the hat to Kobe on a great career. And James, I'll let you say a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, with Kobe, he's my all-time favorite player. I've seen him numerous times in person. But last year, it was all about Kobe and probably well deserved. He stayed with the Lakers for his whole career, never left them. But towards the end of the season, with his health, he was hurting more than he was helping. I know he had the great game there at the end, which was awesome. Probably one of the best things I've ever watched, to watch someone go out like that. That's just how Kobe had to go out. But I think now, now it's Russell's team, or it's going to become Ingram's team. They can really move on from the Kobe era. And as much as people want to say it, Russell's a pro, but he's still looking over his shoulder. He doesn't want Kobe to scream at him. I know Andrew Bynum used to have a problem with Kobe screaming at him. Nobody wants that. So now they don't have that pressure on them of playing with Kobe, with such a big personality, and I think it'll help all the young guys.
Absolutely. And listen, the thing about Kobe, you could talk about the ego, you could talk about breaking up with Shaq, you could talk about the selfishness, those few year periods where they didn't make a push between like 04 or 05 when Shaq left, and they were like the 8th seed for a while until they went back to the championship. But the one thing I'll always say about Kobe, and this is the difference between him and a guy like Melo that takes 25, 30 shots a game, is he defends. He plays both ends of the floor. He competes every night. He was a competitor like Jordan was. You can't compare Jordan to LeBron as far as I'm concerned, but the Jordan-Kobe comparison to me makes a little bit more sense. They're similar in a way when they were obsessive competitors. So, I'm listen, Kobe screaming at me, obviously, yeah, that would get to you a bit. But at the same time, you would know his best interest for you is in mind because he just wants to win. The guy was a freak when it came to winning. He'd be up at 5 a.m. He would sleep 3 or 4 hours a night. He would always be in the gym. You hear stories about his work ethic. So this is a guy that the game will miss dearly because of his competitiveness and because he's not one of those lovey-dovey guys. Let me give you a hug. Let me go on a banana boat or on a summer vacation with all my friends in the NBA. That's not Kobe Bryant. He was a lonely guy in the league, and we'll probably never see another guy like that again.
Yeah, I agree. I think Westbrook is the only player in the NBA left like that.
Right. I agree. Yep.
So you got the AAU ball, and they're growing up playing together, and everyone's friends. And I think Westbrook is the only one left.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be missed. That competitiveness, you don't see it as much as you used to see in the NBA. And like you said, everybody's friends, so it's tough. And Kobe will be missed, and nobody trained as hard as he did.
Nobody.
Now it's time for the Lakers, take that next step going forward. And I'm sure Kobe's face will be seen around Los Angeles a little bit.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, so I'm sure we'll hear from him. I know he's making business moves as we speak. But talking about the Lakers roster in this upcoming season, which player are you looking for to step up? Like one guy who just needs to make that next step, and it's going to help this team so much.
For me, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but it's got to be D'Angelo Russell. With the high draft pick, he's coming in, and with all the off the court distractions, with taking the video of Nick Young and stuff. I mean, honestly, with his production last year, he wasn't worth that pick for those distractions. But towards the summer league, it seemed like he took command in the summer league. He was hitting threes. He hit the game-winning three in one of the games in the summer league. It looks like he's starting to lead the team. And I think, like I said earlier, with Scott off his back, I think it's time for him to step up and be, a top 3 overall pick.
Yeah, and I liked towards the end of the year, he had like a 32-point game against the Pelicans, I think. So he started to show signs at times of being the guy. And he's got to point to his veins, and being 50 games under 500, you should not be pointing to your veins. But I think it's Clarkson. I said it before. I think he's going to be a really integral part of what they do. It's going to be important for him to mesh with the younger guys that they have on their roster. We talked about Randall, we talked about Ingram, but I think it's definitely going to be Clarkson, because I think he's going to be at times the go-to guy. I mean, think about it. Down the stretch, fourth quarter, you're down 2 minutes left, and the possessions are probably going to go through Clarkson. So I think it's important for him to play like almost an all-star level if the Lakers want to stay competitive.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Those 2 picks are great. Now I want to be a little bit different. I'm going to go with Julius Randle. We haven't talked about him much today, but last year was pretty much his rookie season. You expect him to come in. I think he can really provide them that different element at the 4. He fits that kind of small ball NBA style because he's able to handle the ball. He needs to get more consistent from 3, but he could definitely have a nice season with Luke Walton as coach, opening up that role, maybe something obviously not as good, but something similar to the Draymond Green role in Golden State.
Yeah, I agree. He could come on there at the end of the season. I think against I think it was the Mavericks, he had like 22 and 16 or something like that. So yeah, I could see him being like a poor man Draymond Green.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he needs to step it up defensively, but he does have a little bit of toughness to him. I remember seeing something, where he wasn't afraid of KG. He bounced the ball off his back on an inbound pass or something.
Oh, Randall, you're saying?
Randall, yeah. So
he averaged a double-double last year.
Yeah, and he's got a little bit of an edge to him. So I think that could give him that little physicality down low, especially with having somebody kind of frail like Brandon.
So I mean, he's going to be right. He's going to be good too. I mean, he played in 81 games last year. So.
But let's talk about. Do you think the Lakers are going to be better or worse this season?
I think there's only one way to go, and that's up. From their season last year.
Yeah, this is a team that won 17, like we said, and I think by default they have to be better. You can't. Luke Walton's not coming in here with Ingram, and just them 2 together will give you 10 more wins. I think they're going to push, and I'll give you my prediction now. If I had to say, I think the Lakers are going to win 28 to 32, and in a surprise, in a best case scenario, maybe 34, but I would probably say something like 28 or between 28 and 32.
I'll say, they'll probably be a little bit better because they're definitely more talented. I think they added some pieces, kind of helped them a little bit, and adding Luke Walton's going to help a lot. Byron Scott wasn't very good, and he had a weird relationship with D'Angelo Russell. So I think they'll be better, but I'll probably have them underneath 28 wins.
Yeah, I had them right around 28 or 30 wins. Just with Kobe retiring, I mean, as much as it pains me to say it, it's going to help the team. And Ingram does give them, another threat, and I think they'll get it somewhere around 28 or 30 wins.
All right, guys. With that said, that's our predictions right there. What do you think about? Are you going to watch these Lakers on League Pass?
Yeah, I'll be watching. I think they'll be a fun team to watch. I think watching Ingram grow will be the best thing about the season, and also just to watch the type of basketball that Luke Walton will bring. Of course, the Golden State Warriors, I'm not a big fan, but they are fun to watch, shooting the 3 ball, running up and down the court. So I think they'll be a fun team to watch.
Yeah, and for me, it's about one of my favorite players in the league, Jordan Clarkson, one of the staple franchises of the NBA, being back, trying to come back from the dead the last couple of years, and obviously Walton, a new coach. So unlike these other bottom feeders, Nets, Sixers, Suns, this is one of those teams I will be tuning into, seeing what Ingram's been up to seeing Clarkson develop. I like Randall. So even though they probably won't win more than 28 in that range, but they're going to compete most nights, and Walton's going to have them competing against some of the best teams in the league down the stretch. And like we said about the other teams, not really a closer yet. They obviously lose Kobe, but I still think this is going to be an exciting team to tune into.
Yeah, with the style Luke Walton's bringing over, they should be fun to watch. They got these 4 young guys you want to keep an eye on, see how they develop. I'll tune into a few Laker games, but not a ton. Probably later in the season as the talent's really starting to click, I'll watch it a little bit more. But should be a more exciting season this year with less Kobe drama, more about the on-court product.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
So, one of our favorite segments, the truth. Pick our emoji for the Lakers, and the emoji today is a baby, just because the Lakers have all these young guys, this young talent. They're all babies in NBA terms, so it'll be interesting to see these babies grow up.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said, a young roster. Russell, Ingram, Randall, and another, the Spanish big. So they have a ton of young pieces, Clarkson, and they're going to see if they could all come together, and hopefully adding in a couple of those veterans, mixing in as what we like to call the babysitters in this baby emoji. We'll have to see if we could keep D'Angelo Russell's phone away on road trips, and hopefully this team will take off. I mean, like I said, it's nice to see when a staple NBA franchise like the Lakers, the Knicks, the Celtics, when those teams are good, it's better for the league, and look to see these young kids grow up.
Yes, sir. So that wraps it up for today. Great show, James. Thanks for joining us. And Harris, great job as always. Tune into the next episode.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
And best of luck to your Lakers, and hopefully that the content and the coverage will be more about the play on the court, and not the distractions and news. And I know in Hollywood it's tough, but hopefully they'll provide a better product on the court.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We want to write about the on-court product, not the off-court stuff.